I'll invite you because I want to open the floor for questions from the audience.
Products and how you actually sell them, to which customers you sell them, and what goes behind building those data products.
I'll take the generic industry definitions. I think what you're referring to is the kind of data that we can sell, package it and sell together, if that is what you're referring as a data products. Okay, in our organization, we call it data assets for some reason. But anyways, right, so how do we sell it is, again, right, unless you have your metadata, at least, not just metadata, together in shape, your data management in shape, there is no way we can create a product. A simple example I can think of is I want the data of Hong Kong region, payments data of Hong Kong region. So I need to have my metadata, business metadata in place, and then connect to whatever applications that I can pull through that data from. So one of the things that we are currently busy is nothing but, we call it marketplace. It's nothing but it sells products, your data products in the language. So I can search for any sort of data product. It goes and, there is a virtualization layer that we have built in. So it goes and packages it together. And then there is another line that, layer that is embedded, which basically validates whether I'm entitled to get the data or not. So anybody can go and ask for a certain piece of data, but I might not really be the one to actually, access that data. So there is a data sharing agreement that has to be complied on. So there is a layer that happens with that. And then I can, the tool basically provisions the data to me. So whether that when provisioning can happen either, through a JSON, basically through an API, could be any, ways of method. But the key up there is how do I actually call a certain package of data as a data product. I think that's the key. And unless we have our bits and pieces together around this whole, wheel of data, it's difficult for anybody to identify the data product. Of course, even if you identify the data products, we shouldn't be in a position that we have just created data products for the sake of it, and then we start another governance process to clean up, duplications and redundancies and all that. I don't know if I've answered your question.
No, thanks for that question. I'd like to.
To add on to it, I think for us, data products, right? I've seen two kinds of clients right now. I'm just like in a big sense, right? One is you want someone very colorful stuff, everything done for you, reports, and the data that I really, really want, right? We're not very happy. That's where the but that's, people are asking us, it's the basic, it has become the basic layer. So you asked us, how do we sell it? So I think that's where a lot of evolution is happening, at least on our side, where people are asking, what is, we try to enhance a search, right, on our platform if you go on to. It's basically, we've always wanted it to be a conversational search, where I would say, okay, what is the competitor for this company in this region, in this market cap, right? And we want people to search like that. Now we have those capabilities. When you're saying, and then there's a second kind where people want to play with the data. They want raw data, APIs. That's what we're asking. Yes, all of what Shruti has said about, how the packaging happens, but then I see like people who wants to be hands-on. Just give the data to your hands, right? They don't want any fancy stuff. Just give the raw data and they'll plug it into their own apps, analyticals, and just build it. That's a big market that is evolving. And then the other sector is, everything is done, but they want the right data to be shown. That's where we have a lot of work. to think in terms of the client's shoes and say, okay, this is how they're asking, what they're asking, right? The tool, the presentation layer.
Thanks for that question. So that sparks off another, right? I think you were alluding to it earlier as well. So how do you actually evaluate a product market fit, especially in the space of data? Because a couple of things are at play, right? One is data is compliant. You can't just share raw data at all the time, right? Sometimes it's also about understanding which customer, which bucket does he fall into, right? The customer may want raw data or may want partial amount of it or may just directly need reports, right? So given
they also
these,
don't want the entire set.
correct, they don't want
they
the
want
entire
a
set.
specific one, and
Absolutely.
we don't have packages to say only this. They don't want to pay for the entire package. Yeah.
So how do you evaluate product market fit, when it's especially in the terms of data?
That's how do we evaluate products? One of the things I've seen is we are going with the customer segmentation. The way we, at least I've seen, I got fascinated in the ISB days with the marketing course, and now I see Sai doing that a lot as well. So you look at your customers and then say, you're very focused on the big clients, and then we are like very integrated into their workflows. Right? We work very closely and see how they're using our data, and then seeing, okay, what else can we do? What else should we add on to our collection? If we are missing something, there's a missing market, and obviously it needs a lot of investment resources. We'll have to work on it. So that's, and then there's a lot of colleges, universities who also want to use it. Now, because of all the tools that we have, right, they want quality data. Everything that this is another thing that I learned yesterday. People want the quality data. How do we differentiate? If everything is available online, your tool already knows, the Gen AI, ChatGPT already knows, but how do we differentiate, right? That's a constant battle. I think all our products are going to be evolving over time. That's one thing that blew my mind yesterday when I was talking to the folks listening in. You don't want to put your proprietary data out there, but how do you, years of data, right? We sit on a lot of proprietary data that over the years collected data. How do we, and it's very valuable right now. So how do we come out with new products? I think our product teams have a lot of work to do.
I was taking some notes, and this point I just wanted to bring up. Maybe this might be a last question. So in the current landscape, most of the LLMs are trained on large data sets, right? And obviously, outliers and data inclinations are more common in the data set that we have currently. And obviously, data bias is also a crucial factor in that. For organizations like HSBC and S&P do play a crucial role. While given these considerations, how can organizations effectively leverage synthetic data, right, to overcome these kind of outliers and data inclinations, right, while ensuring scalability and maintaining data privacy? Because financial organizations like yours do value data privacy a lot.
T12. So as we spoke just some time back, regulatory compliance is a recent external factor that is actually driving data management programs and stuff nowadays. But then the very crux of it should essentially be keeping the streamlining our own processes aside. I think the value of data management essentially can be picked up when we start monetizing our data. So when we have some commercial aspect of return on our investments, that actually drives our data management programs. So coming back to your questions around what were the challenges in bringing in data governance. So as I mentioned, data governance is more about peoples and processes than the tools and automations that we bring in and the process of making our lives easier. If I can go back sometime to 2012s of the world, people were not even ready to invest into a large-scale data programs back then. Because there was never a, perhaps, understanding around how big can a data problem be or get to. So bringing in in my personal experience, getting people aligned on a common vision itself is, I think, one of the biggest challenges for any data governance organization to be set up, or data governance policies and rules to be set up. Yeah, I think people, as I always say, for any data program, I think the biggest obstacle are people, because it's difficult to align them, and because they are driven by various different objectives. So coming down, any enterprise-wide has to happen together. It has to happen across the organization. So bringing in the commonalities perhaps is the major challenge.
To add, to that, I think you touched on the enterprise stuff. We have companies is very key to us. That's where, there's a shell company, let's say. Commodities, our one division uses it a different way, and another division uses it in a different way. All of us have the baseline, the same stuff, but then there's a lot of layers that we need to build, and we've gone through multiple. Right now, we are also going through another exercise where the governance part, right? We are trying to build enterprise level data network, building the topology, logically building those data catalogs. That is very challenging, right? Trying to understand, it's the same thing. I'm just taking a dumb example of a company name, but in my database, it will say something else. In another division, it's the same thing called in a different one. Another challenge also, I'll say, companies like us who start acquiring companies over time, and it's always a constant challenge to bring the data together, right? It's linking the data. And that's where the value is. We buy, there's a new acquisition, and I was telling Harika, we have the team in Hyderabad today. It's a small company. They do a certain aspect, but very deep collection of data. But when we bring them, there's a lot of conversations that happen on how do we integrate, right? We know it is very profitable. It adds on. It's an enhancement to our existing data. But when we bring it on, how do we bring that governance? How do we link stuff? That's another. It's a thing in itself, right? It's a journey. And when we keep doing these company acquisitions and redesigning, there's something else new comes up. I feel like it's a journey that we are constantly evolving, and based on the needs of the day, right? But we are in that journey of building the catalog.
To sum it up, I think bringing in that common element, whether it's common vision, whether it's common topology. There's so many cases that we've seen that everybody is talking about customer, but in your view, customer is referred something else. But in my way, I mean something else as a customer. We both are right, but having a common definition also, is difficult in all. So commonality, I think, is the thing.
Right. It's a scale, right? There's a big effort that we started last year. We want to sometimes, right? In bigger organizations, we have customers for this division. The same customer also buys in another division. But we have a sales team we're trying to see how we can upsell and cross-sell. And we've started this journey of building that network, building the catalogs, and then we start adding more companies with acquisition. It's a multi-year thing. It's an ongoing thing. I don't want to say it ends next year or 2 years thing. I think it's an evolution. It keeps on adding as and when we need it. Right? There's a new data set. We might have saved because of this AI tools, and we start going into another data set, and that also we'll have to add into the whole network.
Thank you, thank you. I think this has been a very engaging conversation, right? And I'm bustling with a lot more questions, but in the interest of time, I think we'll park it for now. And we'll of course keep the conversations going in different modes and mediums. I'll pass it on.